Good afternoon. I'm Joel Franklin. Welcome to this month's JLG webinar series, A Hat, a Pig, and Panda Pants, with Deborah Ford and Leslie Bermel. Today our experts will talk about some of the fall releases for elementary-aged readers. And we will finally get to know what the title of today's webcast means. But before we find out more, I have a few housekeeping items. Please turn off pop-up blockers in your browser, as these may cause problems when viewing the webinar. If you're experiencing any technical problems, you can use the Help button on the audience console, and the tech team will get to you as soon as possible. If your screen becomes locked, try using F5 to refresh the webinar console, and if you're on a Mac, use Command R. Need credit? A certificate for continuing education credit is available in the certification folder. It will also be available in the archived presentation. If you have any questions or comments, you can send those in at any time via the red Q&A box. And please join our conversation on Twitter. You can tweet us at JR Library Guild and use the hashtag JLGWebinars. Today's the day we find out what a hat, a pig, and panda pants have to do with anything. I mean, who ever heard of a panda wearing pants?
You're going to have to wait for the pants, but let's find out right now about the hat. We're going to talk a little bit about Jon Klassen's newest installment, and I think probably, based on some of the things I'm reading, it might be the last in this cute little trilogy about hats. So this story is about two turtles, and we've seen these turtles in previous books by Jon Klassen, who, by the way, won a Caldecott for, I think it was the second book, wasn't it, Deb?
Oh, there's a test?
Oh, yeah, you didn't know? We got to think on this thing. So anyway, the turtles make an appearance in this book. They're the main characters, and they're making their way across the desert slowly, as turtles do. And they come across a tall, white cowboy hat, and they both try it on. And they both decide that they look great wearing that hat. Now, they're friends. Who's going to get to wear the hat? Is there a solution that doesn't involve losing your very bestest friend? Well, we'll have to find out and read the book. There's some cute little, we've got some internal art for some of these books now, too, so I'm so excited that Deb has added this to our slides. So here's a piece of the art with the hat and a turtle. Next, we're going to talk about one of the books that we have been waiting for here for quite a long time, and that's a book called Some Writer, The Story of E.B. White by Melissa Sweet. Now, y'all probably remember that Melissa Sweet has also won a few Caldecott honors in her previous books. This is a beautifully illustrated biography of the author of Charlotte's Web and Stuart Little, and is a must-have for this year. Kids will be engaged in White's history as we discover the how and the why he came up with some of his most beloved characters. One of the pieces of information that I thought was so fascinating from the book was when he was asked to come and do the audio version of the book, Charlotte's Web. So it won a Newbery honor, and it remains one of the most beloved children's books of all time. So when he recorded the audiobook for Charlotte's Web, it took him 17 takes to get through the last day, the chapter in which Charlotte dies.
Oh.
I know. And I think it's so sweet that he says it's ridiculous, he told the producer, a grown man reading a book that he wrote and being unable to read it aloud because of tears.
Oh. And we can all identify with that.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, what a precious story.
It is a very precious
Thank
story.
you, Melissa, for sharing that book. I personally am excited about the length of that biography.
It's a very short, folks, 160 less pages.
So your teacher shall rejoice. So it meets the 100-page biography criteria, but they'll not get an asthma attack when they read it.
Yes, the children, that is.
The children, yes. Applesauce weather. This is Helen Frost, and so I saw the cover, and then I went, Helen Frost? Okay, that means poetry. And sure enough, I opened it up, and it's a really quick read about a brother and sister, Faith and Peter. And every year in the fall, when the apples are ready for applesauce, Uncle Arthur and his wife come down to their house from the city, and Aunt Lucy always makes applesauce, but Aunt Lucy died last year.
Ow!
And they don't know if Uncle Arthur will come. But he does come. And when he comes, there's the little twinkle is kind of gone out of his eye, and they decide they'll help put it back. And he always told them stories, and so they tell stories to try to get him to tell stories. And the biggest thing they want to know is what happened to his missing finger.
Ew.
Yes.
I'll bet that's a story.
It is a story. And I will tell you, I put it in a live binder, and because there is applesauce, I found a recipe that your children can do and make their own applesauce.
Yay.
So there in the presentation, you can see the beautiful illustrations by Amy June Bates, and you can see the text. So it's got a lot of white space, so your beginning readers won't have any trouble with reading those.
That's crazy. We have another book that's coming up with the same illustrator.
I know.
I can't wait.
I know. Cool. My next one is absolutely one of my favorites. First of all, it's one of my favorite people in the world, Jennifer Holm, and I bumped into her literally at ALA, and I said, "Oh, I loved you," and she said, "Oh, I love Junior Library Guild." It was just a big Ooshi moment. But I hadn't read Full of
What kind of moment?
An Ooshi moment.
Ooshi moment.
Yeah, we were both gushing.
Gushing.
Yeah, sometimes gushing is good.
It becomes Ooshi.
Yes,
Got
it's a little fan club. But I hadn't read Full of Beans, or I would have gushed about this book, because I love this book so much. I went to Key West to work with the librarians down there, so in my head I could see Key West. So, and we've all read Turtles in Paradise, which won the Newbery, and so this is Beans. His own story. It's where the diaper gang came from. But the big picture of the story, in addition to Beans trying to make money in Key West, and he starts his own little business, but he makes one business decision that he kind of regrets, and it causes him to pay it forward. And in the process of paying it forward, he gets involved in the Key West, what's it called, Leslie? Is it the New Deal? It's history, which sometimes fuzzy on demand.
Another quiz?
It is a quiz, where they decided that what we need to do is make Key West a resort.
All right.
And it was a dump. And they brought down paint, and all the people that lived, including the kids, pitched in together and made Key West amazing.
Cool.
And now, to this day, people come for vacation.
I love Key West. I was in Key West earlier this year my own self, and it's pretty darn nice and not a dump anymore, for sure.
It is not.
So this next book is called A Well-Mannered Young Wolf. And I don't know about you all, but I love the cover of this book. And it just, without saying a whole lot, tells you a ton. Because a well-mannered young wolf goes out hunting for his very first time alone. And his first catch was a rabbit. And he asked the rabbit if he had any last wishes. And the rabbit said, "Well, I suppose I can't ask for my freedom." Which the wolf replied, "Obviously." And so then the rabbit said, "Well, maybe you could read me a story." Well, the young wolf didn't have a book on him, but he also remembered his parents' lessons to him, and that was the last wish must be respected. So he told the rabbit to sit and wait, and he would be right back. He's going to go grab a book so he can read the rabbit a story for his last wish. Well, he ran home, got the book, came back. No rabbit.
No rabbit.
No rabbit. This story kind of goes on like that for a few episodes. The ending is a little surprising. And if you remember the ending for I Want My Hat Back with John Klassen, you might very well enjoy A Well-Mannered Young Wolf.
Oh, which, by the way, he won This Is Not My Hat in 2013.
Thank you. That was a question from earlier, wasn't it?
It was. I looked it up.
Yes. By the way, this book is by two Frenchmen named Jean Leroy and Matthew Maudet. I loved the illustrations in this book.
I love them, too. And I added them both to the live binder, but I will tell you that their websites are in French.
That makes it kind of hard.
Unless you do French.
Yeah. Oh.
Some people do.
Yeah. Not me.
We.
Not me. All right. Next up.
Oh, me. Oh, this is the anniversary of 9/11. 15 years this year. I know. I can't even believe it.
Possible.
I know. So I have never been happier to see a book that everybody ought to read. Towers Falling by Jewel Parker Rhodes. And you've read a lot of stuff that she's written. She's so good. But this one is a story of really 3 kids who live in Brooklyn who are studying about 9/11 in school. And their big thing is, why do we care? We weren't even born. And all our kids almost were not even born. And so the main character, Deja, is actually living in a homeless shelter. And she doesn't really understand why. Her father is just kind of odd. Well, later on she finds out her father was in the tower when it fell. And that's the reason why she's in the homeless shelter. And then her best friend, Ben, his father fought in Afghanistan. And their other best friend, Sabine, is Muslim. And everywhere she goes, people don't trust her.
Yeah.
And so it's a great book for talking with kids about 9/11 and explaining to them why history matters to us and why it changes the way we do things. And the illustrations are amazing. Be sure you go to the Live Binder tab and watch the video of the illustrations.
Of how they were made?
Yeah.
Who did the illustrations?
You know, it's almost a secret. No, it's almost a secret. Everywhere you look in the book, there's one tiny little place where it says the name, and I couldn't find her website. I couldn't find anything, but they're just
amazing.
Amazing. They're amazing. And companion book. Oh, turn the slide.
There we go.
You can see. Here's the. Can you read just the first paragraph?
I can tell it's a disaster, a horrible disaster. One tower is on fire. What happened to the other? Is that why, I can't read the name, cried?
Deja.
No, something with an S.
Sabine.
Sabine cried. All I have to do is tap the space bar for the video to come alive.
So what happened here is Deja had never even seen the video. She didn't even understand what it was. And so Ben gave her the video. Sabine can watch it. And then the next slide is an illustration where in this story, as they're talking about who is our family, who's our community, who are our neighbors, what is our nation, this is Deja's drawing of her family and all the people in her family in the little circle. Her little brother helped with the illustrations and then drew the little circles on it. So it's amazing. And companion to that, 7.5 Tons of Steel is a nonfiction picture book. It's a nonfiction elementary category. And I didn't even know this happened, but during the cleanup of 9/11, they took one of the steel beams and sent it to a foundry in Louisiana. And they were going to reshape it, melt it down, cool it down. It took 4 days for it to cool. And rebuild it into a battleship bow. The battleship was going to be the USS New York.
Wow.
But it got interrupted by Katrina because the people building the ship didn't have a place to live.
Right.
And so they got back on track after they recovered from that, and then they put that beam from the tower on the battleship and sent it back to New York where it came from.
Oh, that's crazy. Peachtree Publishing is publisher for this book, and I got to see it when I was down in Atlanta recently, and it's amazing, and I love the art in this book.
Yeah, it is. And it, I will tell you, though, you better practice reading it to yourself before you read it out loud.
You got a little choked up there for a second.
I did get a little choked up.
Yep.
I did.
So let's move on to maybe something a little bit happier than Towers Falling. And yes, Sam the Man with the Chicken Plan is very much like the story that we heard from Deb just a second ago about Full of Beans. Sam the Man is a young boy, the youngest in the family, who is watching all of his family members work, and he wants a job. His big sister mows lawns for $20 a pop, and Sam wants a job that'll get him $20 a pop. When his sister has to turn down a job to watch the neighbor's chickens, he jumps at the opportunity to have that job And then because he knows so much about chickens, one thing leads to another, and then including him buying his own chicken. But I think this poor boy has overscheduled or overbooked or overplanned, and how does he get his plan back on track? It's a really fun book, and the interior illustrations for this are done by Amy June Bates.
Yep, it was hilarious. I love Sam.
I love Sam.
I look forward to more adventures.
Up next is a sequel to Mother Bruce, who ends up being the mama to 3 or maybe 4 goslings, actually. And this is the latest installment because, you know, when you're the mother to some goslings, there's a migration that occurs in the winter. Instead of Bruce being able to go into hibernation, he ends up having to migrate, and he spends a few months down on Miami Beach with his gosling family. And then as they're coming back, and he is ready, well, first of all, Deb and I both travel extensively for our work, and it's amazing how sometimes you get a little tired and you may get a little grumpy, and that's how Bruce is kind of feeling right now because he's had a very long trip. So when he gets home finally, he finds out that some mice have moved into his den and have turned it into a woodland hotel. And so this is this is Bruce at his probably not his finest moment. He's not very happy, and he needs to channel his problem-solving skills to try to get those mice and all of the guests that are in the Woodland Hotel out so he can have his home back. Read the book to find out what happens.
I love a book that touches your heart.
I know.
And Wish just had its birthday, actually, I think yesterday.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Miss O'Connor posted a lovely picture of the birthday.
I actually wish I had read this long ago because, as some of you know, I spend a lot of time making wishes, but usually with found money. But in this book, there are so many ways to make a wish, and I had no idea. But with a little luck, you can get what you wish for. I looked down at the paper on my desk, the Getting to Know You paper. At the top, Miss Willoughby had written Charlemagne Reese. I put a big X over Charlemagne and wrote Charlie. My name is Charlie. Charlemagne is a dumb name for a girl, and I have told my mama that about a gazillion times. I looked around me at the hillbilly kids doing math in their workbooks. My best friend Alvina told me they would be hillbilly kids. You will hate it in Colby, she said. There's just red dirt roads and hillbilly kids there. She flipped her silky hair over her shoulder and added, I bet they eat squirrels. I looked back down at the paper in front of me. I was supposed to fill out all this stuff so my new teacher could get to know me. On the line beside describe your family, I wrote, bad. What is your favorite subject in school? None. List 3 of your favorite activities, soccer, ballet, and fighting. 2 of those favorite activities were lies, but one of them was the truth. I am fond of fighting. And this is a story of how Charlie finds a home that she's going to love. And she's been making the same wish since she was a little bitty girl every single day. And she's got a whole list of ways to wish for it. And you can't help but hope she gets it. And that's all I'm going to say.
Hey, gosh darn it, too many crying books.
It is the year of the tissue book, I'll just tell y'all that.
It for sure is. But before we go to another tissue book, let's talk about Giant Squid. Deb, can you name some power couples in children's lit? Go ahead.
Candy Fleming and Eric Roman.
Well, oh, darn it, that wasn't the first one that
Kevin Hankey.
Yes, and Robin Page.
No, Robin Page and Steve Jenkins.
Steve Jenkins. Who? Kevin Hankey? Laura Dronzik. Yes. Laura Dronzik. And,
yes.
And Aaron and Philip Stead.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm sure there's several others. It's amazing how these power couples find each other. What an amazing pool of talent that they have, though. And this is Candy and Eric need to be added to that list of power couples in children's lit for sure. Giant Squid is their newest collaboration. And giant squid dwell in the deepest parts of the ocean, and they've kind of remained a mystery to scientists. They're rarely seen, super elusive. So scientists have pieced together clues that are left behind And some of the things that are kind of interesting are, did you know that a giant squid can be as big as a bus? That just amazes me.
Jeepers. And we haven't seen them.
We haven't seen them.
I know.
Pieces and parts have come up, but not the whole thing. Some also can weigh up to a ton. And I just kind of marvel at how something that big can be hidden for that long. Kids will learn interesting facts about the anatomy of the giant squid, how and what it eats, what eats it, and it does have a fairly large predator, a sperm whale, and how it protects itself. There's an author's note, a bibliography, and online resources. Eric Roman's art is absolutely fantastic, as is seen in this slide, and the visual mystery that he presents on each page is what we refer to as a giant squid. All right, next up is
Be the Change.
Yeah.
A grandfather Gandhi story. So this is at least the second book in this series, but you don't have to have read the first one. It's written by Gandhi's grandson, and this is one of his stories. You want to
do the slide?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you can see the gorgeous art by Evan Turk in this. But it's a story of how Aaron learns that wastefulness affects others, no matter how small it is. He throws away some little stub of a pencil. And who knew that you could throw away a little stub of a pencil and get a beautiful book like this?
Next slide.
So you can see that it's just gorgeous. And this is also part, I want to make sure I tell people that it's part of our new category, character building education.
Yes.
And so it teaches respect and honor and taking about responsibility, and it's just gorgeous. And, of course, you can use it with your diversity and multicultural units, too.
Love it. The art is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about this amazing fantasy book called Foxheart. So this is a fast-paced, it's a rather lengthy book, 300 and some pages, but it blends magic and time travel into a page-turner that kids are going to love. Quicksilver's a young girl. She's 12, and she lives in a convent where she's been since her parents left her when she was age 3. The Wolf King, who has kind of brought together the Starlands hundreds of years ago, attacks this convent, and Quicksilver realizes that he's not the savior that everyone has kind of made him out to be. He has hunted and killed many witches and has banned witchcraft from his kingdom. And so now Quicksilver is on the run, and she's running for her life. So she gets a little help from some of her friends and an older version of herself, and she attempts to dethrone the Wolf King by traveling back in time, before his evil plan begins to unfold.
I loved it so much. In fact, I tweeted back and forth with Claire the whole time I was reading it, and I said to her, please tell me this is not a tissue book. And she went, #can't promise anything. Great. Princess and the Warrior. This is, we don't have so many, there are very few folktales lately.
Yes.
And so this is a great book to add to your folktale collection. It's an Aztec tale, Mexican folktale about where 2 volcanoes came from.
Ah.
And it's a love story. And it's very Shakespeare-like with asking to marry the princess. And yes, you may, but you've got to perform this task first. And so he has to fight the jaguar claw. But then there's even more evil that keeps them from being together. And political plotting and... in the end, he goes to sleep. Well, I won't tell you the story. You'll have to read it for yourself.
Oh.
Yep. And right behind that is another nonfiction about somebody you don't know anything about.
Oh, sorry, we forgot to show that
your
art.
Yeah. So there's the fight with the jaguar claw.
Who did the art?
Duncan.
Yeah.
Duncan Tanatu.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
All right, so let's talk about... What happened there?
Did we miss a book?
Oh, we missed a book. We're going to go back. Sorry about that, folks.
So
Oopsies, I did it again. We're going to talk about Return by Aaron Becker. Quick.
Okay.
We're going to talk about this quick because This return is the final installment of this trilogy. It's really visually stunning trilogy, which began as this wordless picture book Journey, and then its sequel Quest. Sometimes as an adult we get so wrapped up in our world that we forget we're needed elsewhere. And that's the case in this book, where a young girl tries to get her father's attention, and he's too busy to pay attention to her. So she decides to return to her make-believe world with the help of her magic red marker. What I really loved is that he's blended all of the previous books into bringing back characters and some plot about trying to steal those magic markers. And we've got some of the interior art to show you for this too. Again, beautifully done. Oh my gosh, I'm sad to see these go, but at the same time I'm happy there's been a satisfying end to the trilogy.
Yes, indeedy. So here is another nonfiction about a guy you don't know anything about, Stephen Bishop, an African-American slave in the 1840s, took paying guests through Mammoth Cave, which I loved because when I was a kid I went into Mammoth Cave. And one of the things that he did while he was in there was he taught them how to use a candle on a stick to write their name on the ceiling. And from that, he learns to read and write himself.
Nice.
He just doesn't tell them. And so if you go to Mammoth Cave, you can look on the ceiling and you will see those people who were there.
And their names. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, let's talk about another, what I would call maybe another tissue book. So Jubilee by Patricia Riley Giff is the story of a young girl who, she hasn't spoken aloud to other people since her mother, as she refers to it, tossed her away and left her to live with her Aunt Cora on this beautiful island. Aunt Cora calls her Jubilee because to her, Judith is a celebration. So she's very well loved, and Judith loves her Aunt Cora, but she doesn't have her voice. Her voice has left. She speaks only when she's alone and in front of a mirror or to her dog. And she got dog because a fisherman tossed him away. And she rescued him, and the two of them are as close can be. She's about to begin 5th grade, and she is transitioning from a special classroom and into a regular one. And so this is going to be a year of changes for her, and she wonders if she's going to find her voice again. Ooh. I loved the foreword by Patricia Riley Giff, who talks about a remedial student who once said to her, "Don't put me in no book." And she said, "Readers would love you." I told him, "You'd be a star." I saw the shock on his face. I understood. He'd never been a star. He was always at the bottom of the class. And, oh man, I don't even know what to say about this except that it's a beautiful book.
It is.
And let's do something fun.
A whole nother story. You think you have problems? Think again. This one has problems, plenty of problems. He waddles too much. It's too bright outside. He looks like everybody else. I have so many problems and nobody even cares, he cries. But wait, a wise walrus has much advice for our troubled penguin. Could we use a little bit of that advice for ourselves? Probably so.
Yeah, I love this book. I thought it was super cute. Jory Johns, who is co-authoring The Terrible Twos with Mac Barnett.
Yep.
Two funny guys, man. Boy.
And these two funny guys, Lane Smith and Jory Johns.
Nice. I have to do something for this book. Hey, Deb, you know how you feel awful when you have a cold? And your nose is all stopped up, and your head is full, and your body's achy, and you're sweaty from fever. You know how that happens?
I do know how that happens.
You just feel plain yucky, and sometimes you just want your mom.
You want your mom?
I want my mom, but it's gonna sound like Mom. So Lil Louie wasn't all that little anymore. He didn't really need his mom every minute of every day, but today Lil Louie felt like he didn't want anything except his mom. With all his all wrong, stuffed up voice, he yelled out, "Bob!" And his dog, Bob, came running and slobbering with his ball. Jumped on his bed, and he slobbered all over poor little Louie. Does Louie ever get his mom instead of the dog, Bob? So, the poet's dog is our last, no, not quite last, because we still haven't revealed the pants.
The pants.
So the Poet's Dog, oh my gosh, what is it with these tissue books? So this book, The Poet's Dog, is about two kids, Nickel and Flora, who are alone but are very brave in the face of a winter storm. They're scared, though, and when a dog, Teddy, finds them and speaks to them and leads them back to his shelter, the Poet's Cabin, where there's light and food and warmth and love. This book is about two children, a dog, a poet, how they survive loss, recaptured love. It'll stick with readers for a long, long time. It starts off with, I found the boy at dusk. The blizzard was fierce and it would soon be dark. I nosed his hand gently. He wasn't afraid of me. He was afraid of the storm. I could see tears streak on his face. He led me to his sister crouched under a big tree. A blanket wrapped around her. She was younger, maybe 8. The boy pulled the blanket more tightly around her. I nosed her, too. When she stood up, my eyes looked into hers. I would take care of them. Oh, I love it.
And now for the finale, the Panda Pants.
We just like saying Panda Pants.
I do. I love Panda Pants. Panda Pants. Jacqueline Davies and illustrated by Sydney Hansen is adorable. If you have kids who are sad because there's no more pigeon books, then here you go. Here's a perfect one to give them. If you ever wanted something and it didn't make any real sense, well, that's what happens in this story. The little panda is wanting some pants, and nobody else has ever had pants. Pandas don't wear pants, but it turns out that having a pair of pants handy while you're walking in the jungle is a good thing to have. Who knew?
I love it, and I love saying Panda Pants, too.
If we only had more time, we could talk about... What?
Is it going to come?
Mm-hmm.
There it is, Little Penguins, and the magic word.
Oh, The Voyage.
Oh, yeah, beautifully done by our Caldecott winner
Our
this year.
Caldecott, Sophie.
Yeah. And Wada and Lucas.
Oh, Garvey's Choice.
I love it.
Nikki Grimes. You got to have that. And Leonard Nimoy, Fascinating, his little biography. And Water Princess, that's a new category. And Nanette's Baguette. We like to say that too.
By Mo Willems.
Yep. And then Animals by Numbers is, Steve Jenkins, which we love anyway. So many books, so little time.
And please join us next time when Leslie Bermel will chat with Bill Harley. Leslie, what can we expect from this author visit?
Well, I'm super excited to be hosting Bill Harley next month when we're going to talk about the Charlie Bumper series. We may have a little bit of a storytelling and a little bit of, I asked him to bring his guitar. I'm not quite sure if he's going to do it or not. That was a special request by my friend Deb here. So you won't want to miss it.
In addition to telling you about great books, we're also creating resources to help you use these books. You'll find resources for JLG selections in our light binders. This month, we're releasing a new light binder, fall for 2016. Thanks to Erin and Kaylee for helping to fill that thing out. And thanks to Jeanette, who is, get ready, adding a new light binder tab to the book detail pages. So you'll find everything you need right on our website. And remember to check our website after the webcast for the recap blog post. You'll find book talks on the books that we didn't have time to share, and you'll find a list of all the books with links to their book detail pages and other resources.
Hey, gosh,
thanks.
Gee, there's a little surprise slide in here.
Oh!
Look at who
How
that
did
is.
that happen?
For those of you listening to us live today, Deb is getting married in 2 days on Saturday. Deb, you had to kiss a few frogs to find your prince. We're so happy you found him.
Thank you.
From your JLG family, please accept our warmest wishes on your marriage to Rob.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Wow, that's a great way to end one. Thanks again for spending time with us, everybody. And be sure to ask your account rep about all our new categories or contact your sales department for more information. Tomorrow you'll receive an automatic email regarding today's webinar, and if you follow the link, you can watch the archived webinar or print your certificate of attendance after 10 minutes of viewing. Until next time, thanks again for joining us, and happy reading.